you've got to stop and start thinking. Yes, you've heard that a lot. The question is why? Not because you're becoming dumber and stupider. I don't think that. I just think you have to work with your brain, not against your brain, but you do have to stop and start thinking. Welcome to Life Fix University podcast. I'm your host, SD Rappaport, here to help you rewire your brain to be more efficient and effective. And today we are going to discuss why you should want to stop and think and how you can actually go and do it. So let's first start with why. Why you should even take the time and the patience and the energy, because it's going to be a whole lot of that, to stop thinking. Now, I came up with quite a list and I could continue going, but I don't want to bore you forever. So here are a few of my favorite ones. Okay. First of all, you are going to make better decisions. You are going to become less impulsive. You're going to be able to improve communication. You are going to grow dendrites and actually become smarter. You're going to learn more about yourself. You're going to become more mindful. And the reason why I thought of doing this episode after the previous episode is because you'll be able to do switch theory. You will not be able to do switch theory, which you spoke about in the previous episode with Ashley and Chuck, if you do not learn to stop and think. Okay. That's just now you could stop and think while I'm talking, press this and pause for a second and just come up with another 3 reasons that you like with how your life will benefit if you start stopping and thinking. Now, how do you actually go and do it? Okay. Stopping and thinking is a habit that takes time to create, takes energy, like we spoke about, but it is so worth it for all the reasons we just listed and so much more. But how you can actually go and do it. Actually, stopping and thinking is one of the hardest ones, one of the hardest cognitive functions that people have. And it is a really basic one. In Feuerstein, Professor Feuerstein put it on top of every single instrument, every single cover of that ever Professor Feuerstein created, the one that identified the 20 cognitive function, the professor who came up with this whole incredible method. He put it on big bold letters, just a moment, let me think, because it is so, so important. So how do we actually do it? I have here 2 suggestions for you, but what is really going to take, it's you being conscious, you making the decision that you are going to do it. When you do make that decision, when you do decide that you are going to put effort in stopping and thinking, it is going to start happening. But here are 2 suggestions to make it easier for you. Number 1 is paste it all over, literally put it all over your house, put it on sticky notes, put it on your fridge, screen save it to have your phone screensaver, put it just a moment, let me think, or stop and think, put it in your car, put it everywhere. Okay. The next thing I'm going to tell you is you are going to ask someone to be your accountable partner in this way, or just your partner in helping you be able to remember to stop and think. So whether it's your husband or your wife or your friend or your child, even someone who you think will be really good at it in a really nice, kind manner way, whenever something happens, or even before something happens, to remind you to stop and think like this. SD, you might just want to think, or before you answer, stop and think, or I'm about to ask you a question, stop and think whenever those things happen. So that way you will have that additional reminder to stop and think. So your challenge today is to do both those things. Number 1, to hang up in at least one place, stop and think. And number 2 is to find someone who will help you remind you to stop and think. If you enjoyed this episode, DM me, tell me what you liked about it. So that way I could go and cheer you on and help you and remind you to continue stopping and thinking. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now. That's all for this episode of the Life Fix University podcast, but I have a huge favor to ask of you that will not only support the show, but will also help the people you love most. We are striving for 1 million downloads by the end of 2025, and we can't do this without your help. If you love this episode, please share it with 2 of your family and friends so they too can rewire their brains to have an extraordinary marriage. It was awesome spending time with you, and I'll see you on the next episode.